What's the delay due to, do you think?
Well, mainly the delays because the Americans don't seem to agree what Netanyahu think, or at least thought they agreed, and also his divisions with his own government, with Benny Gantz, about the scope of the annexation, the timing of the annexation. He managed to make almost everyone unhappy. I think it's a clear case of lack of judgment by Netanyahu and lack of leadership, and he managed to get the worst of everything. He got the international community focusing of his attempt to flagrantly violate international law and annex and occupy territory, endangering the stability of the Palestinian Authority that Israel needs for security cooperation and other areas of cooperation. Jordan is very much upset, and there is a real risk. The rest of the region is thinking, how should they respond to that? The EU already, some countries, announced their condemnation. Thousands of parliamentarians, European, condemned it, and the annexation hasn't happened. So in this sense, you really wonder what Netanyahu is thinking.
To what extent do his annexation plans align with the Trump administration's peace plan?
Well, it's double confusion here because no one knows what exactly Trump administration and the plan is searching or looking for, and the same the annexation, because does the annexation include the Jordan Valley or not? We don't know. Is it a symbolic one of few settlements like in Gush Etzion or Ma'ale Adumim? Or maybe more than this? It's very unclear. The maps are, that's exactly what they are negotiating. And sadly, not with the Palestinians, they are negotiating this kind of drawing borders with the Americans, not with the Palestinians. And the scope will also mean something about how the response is going to be, but it's also the principle of annexing unilaterally a piece of land that was occupied back in 1967 and not through agreement of borders with the Palestinians.
So when it happens, if it happens, what would annexation change in reality on the ground?
In principle, Israel is in complete control of this 30% that we think that the plan is to annex, or part of it, including the Jordan River. But symbolically, in terms of applying the Israeli law, declaring that this is, even the Israeli call it disputed, not occupied, but they ending unilaterally this dispute and say there is no dispute anymore, we declared it's ours, which means the two-state solution is become even less viable than it was before. It will actually will force the region to respond to that, also probably the European Union. It might also have a silver lining that the international community will understand that it might take a stand. For instance, recognition also unilaterally of a Palestinian state, put more pressure for a viable peace process. But for now, it can also end with violence between the Israel-Palestinians, maybe a third intifada. So there are grave implications potentially for such a unilateral declaration in complete violation of international law.
Now, where would Netanyahu be without US support, and might a change in the White House make a significant difference, do you think?
Even the settlers, by the way, think they put the kind of imaginary deadline, say if it's not going to happen until the 15th of July, it's not going to happen. I don't know if this is correct or not, but everyone understands that the timeline, the window of opportunity for this terrible plan is closing. Because in 3 months' time, by 3rd of November, there are elections. The chances of Trump getting back into the White House seem slimmer than they were 5-6 months ago. And Joe Biden, the presumptive Democratic nominee, already said it. He's against it. You have 200 Congress people already signed against it. Someone like Bernie Sanders even suggested with other members of the Congress that the United States should stop military cooperation with Israel. So in this sense, the relation with the United States crucial. Comes November, and if Joe Biden is elected, I think this will change all the idea of annexation, and now it's affect the relations with the major Israeli ally.
And what about on the Palestinian side? You mentioned Jordan before. Who is still very strongly behind the Palestinians?
Well, I think one of the issues, the Palestinians are in complete disarray. And it's almost interesting to see that the kind of almost the apathy, and many Palestinians say it doesn't change what happens on the ground. We are under occupation, whether it's area A, B, and C, the Israelis are taking liberties in every part of the West right now. The Palestinian leadership already said they are not committed to any of the agreements from Oslo onwards. They stop the military and the security cooperation with that, and maybe at one point or another they will end the entire responsibility, which is the responsibility of the occupier, to Israel to look after the population. But obviously the division between the Hamas and the Fatah, between Gaza and the West Bank, doesn't help. The issue of succession among the Palestinian leadership is not helping their case. But in principle, most of the international community support them, but they not support them in a proactive way that actually helps them to avoid what Israel is doing right now.